Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Stay Hungry podcast. Today, our special guest is Jamie Reeves, seven-figure founder of The Best Singing Waiters. Jamie has been there, done that. From growing a business to almost losing one, Jamie knows the roller coaster of business better than most. Let's go. Mr. Reeves, welcome to the Stay Hungry podcast.
Thank you, Andy. Thanks for having us.
My pleasure. What's going on? Where are you?
Where am I? Well, at the moment, we're on summer holidays, so I'm up at my caravan on the Fylde coast. We move lock, stock and barrel for 6 weeks so the kids can play and do what they want to do. And I set up my mini office in the back bedroom and work from there. But today I'm in the front room,
Nice.
just chilling with the sleeping dog at the moment while the kids are off playing.
Well, I know already a few of our listeners will be thinking, how the fuck is he away from his business for 6 weeks? So that's amazing. So hopefully we can talk about that flexibility of running a business, because so many people, even years in, I think, are so tied to the office day in, day out, and it's maybe not the freedom we envisaged. But we'll always start these pods with the 3 W's. So if you'd like to share with our listeners what you do, who for, and why.
Okay, well, I have 2 hats that I wear. I'm the head waiter of the Best Singing Waiters, and we provide basically wedding entertainment or corporate entertainment, depending on what you're wanting. And I'm also the founder of the Wedding Network, which provides business coaching for other wedding businesses.
Nice. And who are you doing this for? So if you look at the coaching, so is it anyone established? Is it anyone thinking about becoming, I don't know, a wedding caterer? Or
it's for anybody that wants to improve their wedding business, basically. In the 15 years that I've been doing this, I've obviously learned a lot along the way. And there's a lot of foundations that I believe that a lot of wedding businesses don't have. They're very good at what they do at their particular niche. But as you know, building a business is a little bit more than that. Mm-hmm. There's so much more to learn about sales, marketing processes, managing time, managing staff, all those other beautiful things that go along with running a business. So the Wedding Network is for anybody that wants to kind of get improvement in their wedding business. And the Singing Waiters, that's mainly for people that want to have an amazing event. So we do probably 90% weddings. So a lot of our work is for bride and grooms and just making sure you don't have a boring wedding breakfast. We're there to make sure the day is lively, make sure it's memorable, and it has energy all the way through the day.
Nice. So, I mean, give us an idea of the size of that. I mean, how many waiters do you like have in the UK then?
Across the UK, we've probably got about 75 waiters, ranging from Scotland right down to the West Country, and just basically everywhere: London, Manchester, Sheffield, Newcastle, South Wales, Bristol. We're here, there, and everywhere.
And I noticed on your site. Go on.
In fact, we've just come back from Malta and done a wedding over there this week. 2 of my guys went over there, and
you didn't fancy that?
Flew in the day before. I did, but I've had my parents staying over for the last week, so it didn't fit the timescale, unfortunately. But I've done a few abroad gigs, and you kind of fly in, do the gig, and fly back out again. So once you've done 1 or 2, the novelty wears off.
Not as glamorous as it sounds. But so I mean, I noticed on your website some of your waiters, they've like been on the X Factor and stuff like that. So you've got some serious talent in the pool.
Yeah, we've had guys that have been in the West End, been on TV, done round the world cruises. Oh, nice. So there's a real nice mix and blend of people that have done some seriously amazing stuff.
Nice, excellent. And the last W, why do you do this? What gets you up in the morning? Apart from your young kids, I suppose.
So family is probably the biggest driver, as it is for most people. I started as a singer going back 26, 27 years ago.
Shit.
So I've been involved in the entertainment business for a long, long time. When we started the Singing Waiters, I wanted something that would mean that I didn't have to work every weekend, something that I could kind of build into a business. I thought it would be a wedding entertainment agency rather than the Singing Waiters. That kind of fell on its backside, and from that, the Singing Waiters kind of stood out. So I thought I'd do it to get a few more extra gigs. And within 12 months, I had 6 people working for me.
Shit.
And it just kind of grew into the monster it is today from there. So it's been very, not easy to scale, but it's been very scalable for me.
So, what do you reckon you knew about business when you started? Because obviously you made an impact very quickly. To have 6 people in a year, that's amazing. I think a lot of people struggle with scaling their business. But what kind of knowledge did you have about, you mentioned sales, marketing, recruitment when you started out, or was it like in at the deep end?
Absolutely fuck all.
Like me then.
So, yeah, I was a singer. I used to go around doing jobs and kind of I was just a gun for hire. I wanted to better myself, so I searched out coaches, I searched out mentors, I did courses, and just grew my knowledge and put in the work, and learned like everybody. I blagged it and learned it. I jumped off the cliff and built my parachute on the way down.
So if we rewind a little bit then, so as you started the Singing Waiters, where did like your musical journey begin? Was it literally you had an amazing music teacher at school or something like that? Where did that love start? Because it's a real passion of yours, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I guess so. From a very young, early age, if we go right back to when I was in proper short trousers, I was in the church choir at the age of about 7 or 8. And I was only in that because you got paid in them days.
You got paid?
Yeah. You used to get paid about 50p a week, which kind of around 84 was a lot of money to a 7 or 8-year-old. I could buy a good bag of pick and mix sweets for that, or Panini football stickers. I think was my thing back in the day.
Yes. Thinking back to my oldest Spaniard 82 album now. And Mexico 86, yeah, love that, blimey. So the church choir, and you realise, or someone realised you've got a bit of a gift there.
Yeah, and did school plays and stuff, and then it kind of parted because I wanted to play football like most kids do when they're sort of 9, 10. And then when I was about 15, 16, I got a job roadieing for a DJ. So I got into DJing because that was quite easy money and a good laugh, and there was always lots of girls hanging around, so that helped.
Nice.
And then went abroad when I was about 20 as a DJ, kids entertainer, got involved in all the shows, sang a bit on that, and then people said, you've got a great voice, you should be singing, shouldn't be DJing. So the next summer I did my first season for Haven,
right.
Which where I'm going by where I'm sat now is quite a kind of full circle.
Excellent.
And did a season for them. And then from there, I've just never looked back, just been working on the circuit ever since.
So was it obvious you didn't want to go to university then? And what did your family feel about that? Say, for example, my family, my mum and dad were doctor and nurse, and if I had gone to university, it would have killed them. I got thrown out of the school choir, by the way, so that was bad enough for my dad. I sang once in Royal David Shitty instead of City, and I got some of my mates to sing the same. And the parents' carol service, it was not a good day, so I got into trouble for that. But yeah, if I hadn't if I had gone to university, the peer pressure from my folks would be bad. So when did you make that kind of decision that sort of that continual formal education wasn't for you?
So I didn't do particularly well on my first GCSEs because I didn't put the work in. I got 5 Ds and only 2 Cs, so that stopped me from doing A levels. So I had to go back and redo my GCSEs. Probably had the best school year I ever had on that, which probably isn't what you want to be telling. Well, actually, all the hard work for exams is all now over and done. So if you don't get the results that you want, don't fear, because when I went back and did lower 6th, it was the best school year of my life. It was so much fun, and I got the results that I wanted. Then I went to college, did a City and Guilds in radio and journalism. Didn't pass that because again, didn't put the work in. So I went to stay at the same level and do a BTEC in media studies. Did that for about a year, and then dropped out because it was more video production
Right.
and stuff. And I wasn't into that. I wanted to be a radio DJ or do radio, either as a journalist or a broadcaster or a DJ. I wasn't really fussed with what. But while I was doing that, I got into doing clubs and pubs and started mixing. Sort of fancied myself as a Wish Pete Tong.
And what did your family think about that? Were they cool?
Yeah, they were. My dad was an electrician. My mum was a nurse, so there was no kind of big pressure to go to university. Come from quite a working class background, so nobody had really gone to university anyway.
Okay.
The rule was, if you're not working hard at college, you go and get a job. And when I dropped out of college, I had to go and get a job, and I got a job in insurance for, I think it was about £400 a month. I was DJing as well. I was probably earning more money DJing than I was doing the insurance.
And you didn't have to wear a suit?
No.
Blimey. And so I mean,
yeah.
you mentioned you started with you were roadieing for this DJ. Was this guy or I guess lady, was that like your first mentor, or did that come later on in the journey?
Later on in the journey, I think probably the nightclub manager and a guy called Barry Hughes and a DJ called Rich Edwards. And Barry got me involved in doing the tickets and other work within the nightclub. So there was lots of mail outs and stuff, which I kind of pinched and used at the beginning of my journey for singing waiters. So I kind of had a little bit of promotions knowledge from doing that. So looking back, that was probably really, really influential to what I did later on when I started promoting myself as an entertainment artist, trying to get my date sheets out to all the agents and whatnot.
And what would you say are, because I guess, obviously you coach, we do a lot of coaching. There are some lessons we learn the easy way. There are some lessons we pay to learn, but obviously there are some lessons we both probably learn the fucking hard way. So what were some of those pain points that you're doing your best to obviously coach your clients now? This is avoid this shit because I fell into it and it's not a nice place. What kind of common pitfalls would you say?
The biggest pitfall I probably had was about 7 years ago, when we nearly lost the business. I basically took my eye off the ball and didn't make sure that sales machine keeps going. I lost my sales manager in the May. Didn't replace him. Just kept the team tight as it was. And it just spiraled until probably the December. It was just like, whoa, we can't continue anymore. So I was very lucky to have my coach come on board as my business partner, put together a rescue package, which meant that all the brides and grooms weren't affected. We were still able to do all the gigs. We restructured the company. Had to set off various payment plans, which upset a few people. But we managed to kind of start again and build the business back up.
And how long was that period then between, you mentioned December when you realised you can't carry on. How many months had it been since your sales manager left till that point? Did this happen like in a couple of months or?
So he left in the May. We kind of got through the summer okay, but then the autumn kind of hit in, and there was sales staff that weren't performing as well as they should be.
Right.
And it just kind of spirals. He left in the May, then the other most senior sales staff person left in the October. and then trying to get people in to kind of play catch up on that, it was just too big a ask. So we had to restructure instead.
Would you say a lot of business owners that you speak to, they don't have a good enough handle on their numbers, on the numbers that matter?
Oh, without question, you always kind of, most business owners will kind of look at what they've got in the bank, and they won't know what a lead costs them, how much it costs them to get a sale, what money that they've had in over the last 3 months to mean that they can do this. Those kind of profit, what it costs them to deliver the product, things like that. Numbers are such a massive important part. But I think one of the other things is getting a good accountant. There are so many crap accountants out there.
How many? I think we're on number probably 5 now, I think. So what do you want to do? Or did you find a good one relatively early on or after that period?
No. It's one thing that I've always struggled to find. My current accountant's pretty decent, I have to say, and has helped us loads. But the regulation of accountants should be something that the government should be looking at, because if they did their job better, then there would be a lot of small businesses that don't suffer as much heartache.
I know our current accountant, it's probably been 7-8 years. He's great. But he got us over the line back in the day. He said there are 2 types of accountant: those who work for HMRC and those that actually work for you, the client. And I was like, fucking hell, because our previous accountant played everything so safe. There was such a big safety barrier between us and the tax man. You want to be a bit close to that line. And he was basically looking after his own practice ahead of his clients, which I suppose is fair enough, but it just isn't enough for a lot of small businesses.
Yeah, and they don't give you the warning signs as well. They'll be able to kind of see different things. And basically, if it's not in their immediate job remit, they kind of stick their head in the sand and just let you carry on merrily on your way.
So how are you able to sort of, like you mentioned, the 6 weeks away? How are you able to sort of keep a close eye on things, but not be there, I guess, micromanaging the team? Because that growing a business and scaling a business are 2 different things. Mm-hmm. Or is it simply a case of getting a good manager? Or no, you now know through your experience, you know what to look at and you can do it quickly and remotely?
Yeah, well, everything we do, we all work from home. So I have currently a team of 5 working with me. We all work from home, so all our systems are online anyway. So because I have great Wi-Fi here, it doesn't matter whether I'm here or whether I'm at home. I can just bring my Mac, plug it in, and away I go. So, and I do have to do work from the caravan. I can't switch off for the whole 6 weeks just yet. Though that is where I want to get to. I want to be able to get to. I see myself as trying to be the conductor of the orchestra.
Okay.
So I don't want to be the one that's playing a tune. I want to be conducting the orchestra and making sure everything goes well. Trying to achieve that false exit, so that I'm in charge of the business, but I'm only overseeing it.
Okay. So what are some of the, I guess, broad brush top tips you could give to people for becoming the conductor? Because I think there's probably a lot of people listening think, yeah, shit, that's what I want. I want to be able to grow the business, but I've got the guys running it and I can go here, there, everywhere, and the business will still run.
Processes. You've got
boring but important.
Yeah, absolutely nailed on with your processes. You've got to be able to put them across to your team so that they know exactly what they're doing on each and every part of your business. So either get an instruction manual in a Word document or use some sort of app, or even something as simple as when you do a task, do a Zoom with yourself, press record, do the screen share, do the task, talk as you're going through the task, hit stop record, upload it to your Dropbox or whatever cloud storage you use. It's so simple to create your own instruction manual and just list it in there for yourself. But it's just processes and automate as much as you can.
And I guess the business is
As
more
much.
saleable as well, isn't it? Then, if your business can run with those processes without you, the value of your business suddenly like becomes exponentially worth more.
Yeah, you can't automate everything, because people buy from people. And with what we sell with the best singing waiters, it's a high ticket item. So I'm not going to be able to just send out loads of emails and here's my payment link. I've got to have a conversation. I've got to show people how it will fit into their day. I've got to tailor it so that it fits into their day, and make sure that we're delivering that personal service. But there's so much around it that you can automate. The stories that keep people warm, that keep you top of mind, that can all be automated. The initial, can we arrange a call, text, and thanks for getting in touch with us, automation. The once they've bought, making sure that we send out the song list 2-3 months before their big day, automation. There's so much that can be done, but you've got to make sure that you've got the processes and the right CRM system in there to do that.
So does that play a big part in your coaching program then? How to nail your process in the best ways to sort of share those with the team?
I think automation and processes is massive. I think it's the most important foundation in building your business, because the one thing that we all want more of is time.
Yes, absolutely.
And that can be for some people more important than money. So having the automation in there to do some of the grunt work, but still get your personality across, is really, really important.
It's almost like you can see my notes I've got later on. You do a lot with your kids. How important is flexibility versus money? Because I think when we start off business, I mean, obviously, I'd rather cry in a Porsche than on a bicycle. But I think a lot of us think, I want my first million, and then I want my second million, and you'll never really be happy. I remember going on our first holiday after we set up a business, and there was this guy walking around the pool on his phone, big businessman, doing deals, and I was like, oh, one day, Emma, I want to be as important. I want to be like him. And then, of course, luckily, I realised, fucking hell, no, I don't want to be like him. When I'm on holiday, I want to be sat with my kids. And I think it's not just about the money, that freedom, that flexibility. And I mean, I still hate processes, but through working with Joel and sort of networking with people such as yourself, came to realise they just have to be. They have to be there. They make life easier. If you're there trying to do everything manually, that time will just disappear from your week.
Yeah, you can't scale a business unless you've got the processes. It'll fall like a deck of cards, and experiences to me are worth much more than money.
Yes.
I'm very busy with the kids. I'm very blessed that both Jack and Charlie are really into their football. So they're out most evenings. Amelia's really into dancing and singing and acting. So she's out most evenings as well. But because of the way that we've structured the business, whether it be through automation, whether it be through staff, whether it be through processes, we've built it on our time. A mentor once told me I want to go where I want, with who I want, when I want. That's the perfect life.
Nice.
And that's what I'm trying to get to. That's why I want to be the conductor of the orchestra.
So was it different when you started up then? Because you started up, say, 15 years ago, before kids came along. So were your priorities different? Or when the children came along, that's when you thought, right, I've got to do things differently now. Otherwise, I just won't see enough of them.
Yeah. So probably when I started the business, I was like, right, I want to grow this great big mega business. I want to kind of earn X amount. I want to drive a Porsche, I want to live in a big house. All those kind of things that you dream of when you first start your business. Then Jack came along, and it was probably him going to school that was the big kick up the ass for me. because up until the age of about 4, 5, it didn't matter if I was working weekends because we could go and do our Saturdays on a Monday or a Tuesday.
Oh, of
My
course.
wife's a nurse, so she doesn't often get weekends off as a whole weekend anyway. So we could kind of juggle it about so I could work and whatnot. But then when I wasn't working all through the week, Jack being typical 5, 6 year old in bed by 7, 8 o'clock, I'm working till 6, 7. I'm getting to kind of see him for breakfast and then read him a bedtime story.
That's it.
And that was it. And it was, especially when the business took a turn for the worse all those years ago, that was a big wake up. It's like, why am I doing that? That being self-employed and having your own business, it's such a seesaw. So you might as well have that seesaw with the flexibility so that it serves you. And you've still got those relationships at the end of the day. There's no point having an amazing business but really shit home life.
Got no one to share it with, yeah.
Don't get to spend time with your kids, don't get to spend time with your partner. What's the point in that? That's why we do it.
So is that something you impart on the coaching program as well? Because a lot of people who come to you, if they're in the early phase of their business, do they think it's all about the money? Like, say, they want the Porsche, they want the holidays, and they don't really think about maybe stuff that perhaps will be more rewarding? I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm sure money's very important. It's the be all and end all for a lot of people. But that flexibility, that freedom, it's underrated still, I think.
Yeah. So I've got one client now who she's got a target amount of weddings that she wants to perform at. She's not a performer, she's a celebrant. But she doesn't want to go over that amount. So it's not about building even a 6-figure business with her. It's about getting her enough weddings per year for her to fit that in her lifestyle. Because she might smack me on the wrist if she ever sees this, saying it. She's probably more towards the twilight of her years,
Right? Okay.
than as a young 20-something. So having that quality of life is a lot more important to her than somebody that might be 20-something, building their first business and I want the moon. So quality of life is probably more important for her. Then I have other people on the course that are doing it as a part-time business right now, but want to build it so it can be their full-time business, and they can bring their partner into it so it can serve them as a family. So everybody's at their own different stage of what they want out of things. And I guess just like it did for me, if they have kids and they get past school age, things will change in their head of what they want to do.
Yeah. So what are some
because it always does.
So what are some of the non-negotiables that might serve someone well if they value the flexibility and freedom that, they've got children perhaps and they want to ensure they can spend time with them and be present? Because that's something I learned the hard way. I thought I was spending quite a lot of time with the kids, but I was also spending time with the kids and spending time on my phone, and I wasn't present with them. So that's why Joel and I talk a lot about work-life harmony rather than work-life balance. I'd rather spend an hour with the kids, just me and the kids, rather than 3 hours with them when I'm bloody having to answer the phone and do emails and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, when it comes to your regime, your routine, your negotiables, are there anything you can share with our listeners in terms of getting that harmony right?
So goal setting is massive.
Right.
I think it drives everything, because then you know what you're aiming for and you know what you need to do. So like last week, my parents were over. They live in Cyprus. So I pretty much took, apart from doing the odd job here and there, I took most of the week off. because there was no way that I could devote my time to my business and achieve my family goals for that week. So I have a 3-year vision, which I've then broken down into my year goal, which I then break down into my 90-day goals. Then at the beginning of each week, I will put things in there that need to be done that week. And then at the beginning of each day, I'll pick 3 or 4 important tasks that I need to get done that day. And the majority of them aren't business ones.
Okay.
So I can't remember off the top of my head what my ones for today are. Well, I can remember 3 or 4 of them. So run was my most important one to do today. I'm doing the Wigan 10K at the beginning of September.
Excellent.
So I've got a training program that I'm doing for that. So run was my most important one because I've only been doing 1 or 2 runs a week, and I haven't been doing that as much as I should be. So I've got to get back into doing that. I've got a load of sales calls that I need to do a little bit later on for Singing Waiters, the podcast with you, and checking in on my Wedding Network clients today.
I wonder how many business people don't really have a clear path on where they're going and what their goal is and how to get there. Maybe that's why they go around in circles so much.
You wouldn't go into a travel agent going, I want to go on holiday. You'd go, I want to go on holiday. I'd like to go to Turkey. It's got to have all this for the kids. These are the dates that we can travel, and my budget is around this. Most people spend more time planning their holidays than they do the rest of their life. And they wonder then why they only have 2 fucking amazing weeks a year. And the rest of the 50 go to shit. Because they're not planning their life properly. And that's why when I do my brides course, the first 2 things I teach, goal setting on the first week and automation and processes on the second week.
Nice.
Because if you've got those 2 nailed down, you're golden.
We had, Joe Woodhouse. He was on the podcast a few weeks ago, and he said him and his wife, every Sunday evening, 6:00 or whatever, when the kids are in bed, they sit down and they plan what has to happen that week, whether it's a date lunch, whether it's whatever, and then it's just really non-negotiable. So Emma and I do that every quarter, so we're some way behind Joe. But to have something written down, more likely to obviously happen. What gets written down gets done. But I think just when you hear about plans and goal setting and processes and automation, I think a lot of people, they just switch off, whereas they're crucial to get in that harmony. If you want your money, but you also want to go on holiday, you want to be able to take your kids to football practice rather than turn around and like, oh shit, my kids are 18 now. And the last thing I want to do is hang around with the old man. Let's say time is a currency of life. And I think that's just undervalued, because when you start a business, I think it probably is all financial. I want to earn this, I want to earn that, I want to drive a car like him. Can I
just interrupt?
Yeah, go on.
Sorry. I heard a stat the other day that by the time your child is 12, they will have spent 75% of the time in their life that they're going to with you. By the time they're 18, it's 90%.
Shit. Really?
So that makes it so important to be there for this period of their life while they're at school. Because if you don't, time's gone.
Wow. Yeah, so both of mine are over 12. Shit, that is a scary stat.
Yeah.
Bloody hell. I mean, my dad, I mean, he was a great dad. But when he finally managed to get some freedom, he was a doctor, ran a couple of GP practices. When he managed to extricate himself from work a bit more, I was like 19, 20. And I just didn't really want to go on holiday with my folks. I wanted to go on holiday with my mates. And that's something that stuck with me for a long time. That, when those kids are young, that's where those bonds are formed. And that's the real special times. Because, my teenage girls now, they're just too busy watching TikTokers and going out with their mates and talking about makeup, and I don't even talk about boys, and it's like, wow, at least I'm glad I got to spend lots of quality present time with them, because you can't can't turn back the clock. So,
No.
so I mean, you do so much with your kids. I mean, the football
Mm-hmm.
practice, you say, like, I mean, that's dance and everything, and your wife's a nurse. I mean, the shifts and hours she must have to do. So,
Yeah.
would you say that really is all down to the goal setting and the processes and automation?
Yeah. When we started restructuring everything again, I was doing everything on my terms. And don't get me wrong, we'll go above and beyond what we need to do for a customer. But 95% of the time we're doing it on our terms. Um, because otherwise, what is the point?
And
What is the point if I when I first started the business, I had an office. I'd be there from 8 in the morning or even earlier till kind of 6:30, 7 o'clock in the evening. That's not a life.
and some
That's not a
people,
life.
that's what some people want from a supplier, isn't it? They don't want their supplier to turn around and say no because what you want, that's not what we agreed, and it doesn't fit in with my goals, with my vision, and having to
Mhm.
say no rather than being the person who's, like, say, in the office 16 hours a day, say yes to everything, answer the phone on a Sunday. Fucking hell, I've been there. It's
Yeah,
some people aren't going to like that.
yeah. You've got to you've got to be able to serve your customers, but you've also got to be able to set boundaries because if you don't, you're just going to be left with people that take the piss. Um, and there'll always be a customer that wants that little bit more, that little bit more, that little bit more. Um, and I'm very clear in what I will do. If somebody says, oh, I want to call it this and it doesn't fit in with what, really sorry, I'm not around at that time. Whatever times you have, give me a couple of times and we'll see what we can do.
So was that
Um,
always the case, or back in the day when you were working all the hours, you were contactable all the time? And
Probably contactable all the time. All the
sounds like we got
time.
quite a similar story, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah. It just worked way too much and put too much importance on the business and not enough importance on things that matter. Because if if everything went wrong tomorrow, I've learned enough in the last 15 years to go and be of value as either another business or to go and work in somebody else's business. Um, but if I hadn't have done what I've done over the last 5, 6 years, I wouldn't have the relationship I have with my kids.
and
Um,
I bet these people who were taking the piss and wanted you to drop everything whenever they click their fingers, they're the people who'd be the first to fuck off if the shit
yeah,
hit the fan. Well, you know, we found that out in lockdown. Some of the clients that we'd worked evenings for, I'd sacrificed time with my children for when lockdown
yeah,
happened, which obviously affected loads of business, not just our industry. They just went, no notice, nothing, and all that goodwill's
yeah,
out of the bank. And yeah, it's a wake up call, really, isn't it?
yeah, definitely, definitely. As as harsh as this sounds, there'll always be more customers. There'll always be somebody that you can serve. I remember listening to Dan Kennedy once, and he said, "If all you want in a customer is breath, you're in trouble, because some customers have bad breath, and you don't want them."
He's the man.
Um, he's a pot of wisdom, and there'll always be somebody that can do it cheaper. There'll always be somebody that will quite happily answer the phone at 10 o'clock on a Sunday evening and jump on everything so quickly. But it doesn't mean to say that they're doing it right.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Um,
And so, what would you say? I mean, out of everything you've achieved, what would you say is, say, your biggest personal achievement and your biggest professional achievement to date?
um, Probably personal achievements got to be my kids. Um, they're three fine, fine people. Um, I don't know because without sounding big-headed, I've done fucking shitloads.
Come on, now's the time. Now's the time. Be
Well,
big-headed.
played at St James's Palace. The first thing in my is to play there. I've
Blimey.
played in Oman, played all around the world. Lived in Cyprus, lived in Mallorca, lived in Menorca. Had millions of views on my own music on Facebook. Over 100,000 streams on Spotify.
Yeah. Sung for any stars? Any celebs?
Yeah, quite a few celebs. I've been on most of the major soaps as a background artist. I
Really?
learned to ride a moped on Albert Square.
No way.
Is my biggest claim to fame.
Cool.
So there's so many cool things that I think I've done that have been really fun. Almost got into a fight with Les Battersby at a gig because I took the piss out of him. Just loads of stupid shit.
Sounds like you should write a book.
Maybe. I always think I'm too boring to write a book, because now all I like to do is just kind of hang out with my family, do a bit of work, and then by the time I've done my work, by the time I've found my kids around, all I want to do is eat and watch TV.
Well, the friends I used to party with back in my 20s, some of them are still single and employed, and we just don't see much of each other because we just haven't got stuff in common now. Because, like I say, I want to work, I want to serve people, and then I will, maybe go out with Emma or friends in the evening. But generally speaking, it's me, Emma, and the kids. And watching telly together, like we're a bit late to the party. We started watching Derry Girls, so every evening we'll sit down, family tea, and we'll watch an episode of Derry Girls. And it's those little magic moments. And Craig Gillespie, he said most magic moments don't cost money, and I'll always remember that. It's not the holidays are nice, but sometimes it's those little things that the kids will never understand. If I had to say to my kids, it's these moments you'll remember, they'll be just like, oh, shut up, Dad. But the most of the memories I have of my dad, even though we had some nice stuff and did nice things together, were the simple things, just spending time together. And I think that's that's cool. So what would you say is the main lesson you've learned that you could share with your younger self? If you could go back to Jamie 15 years ago and you started up the Best Singing Waiters, what would be the key piece of advice you'd give yourself?
Have goals. Plan. So plan what you want to do, both in business and personally. Systems and processes, automation, learn how to use paid advertising, because that'll really help bring you to the attention of the customers that you want to grab the attention of. Learn how to tell stories, because if you can tell stories and entertain people in that way, then that'll really help you build sales. And be able to then get on the phone, chat with people, and then go, so, do you want to book my shit?
How are you finding that with coaching clients? Because I've got to be honest, so many people we speak to, even people sort of basically my age who grew up with a phone rather than a phone computer, hardly anyone seems to want to pick up the phone now. Whereas stop sending 50 fucking emails. You can sort this out in a 3-minute phone call. They'd rather do the emails.
Yeah.
Are you seeing that as well, or people know? If I'll do whatever you say, Jamie. Yeah. If I've got to do this to run a business, I will make calls.
Yeah, there's always people that think that there's an easier way. I'm quite old-fashioned, and the reason why I don't like trying to sell over email is because it takes so fucking long. If you jump on the phone, you're much nearer to where you want to be, and it takes 10-15 minutes.
Comes back to time again.
It's you save so much time.
It's weird when we start up a business, I must have done like 100 calls a day. This was before social media exploded. Just calling and being okay with being told no. And that's something I think some people struggle with, that fear of rejection. But if you can get to the point where, well, I know for every 9 no's, I get 1 yes. Now my
Yeah.
marketing, my selling becomes a mathematical challenge. So I make 20 calls, I get 2 sales. So I make 30 calls, I get 3 sales. But for some people, just 1 or 2 no's is a, and that's,
Yeah.
I don't know how you would build that resilience up without just saying, just fucking get on with it.
Yeah, it's you've got to, again, it's knowing your numbers. I know that with every 3-4 conversations we have with singing waiters, someone will buy. And I know to get a conversation takes X amount of dials. So it's just a case of stick some music on in the background, get yourself a nice cup of whatever, stick your headphones on and dial.
Would you
And it's
say
just,
if someone really doesn't want to, they should at least outsource or find somebody who can make a call?
no, no. Whenever I've outsourced that to somebody else, like a company in that way, they've always been shit. Even
Interesting.
though that they're supposed to be kind of, that's their speciality, they've always been really, really poor.
So you're just
Again,
recruit only?
yeah,
Yeah, okay, interesting.
again, you need a process. You need everything that I have is like, even my sales bit. While we use people's personalities, the questions and the main body of what we do is there in a process. My 2 salespeople that have working for me now, both were brides.
Ah, okay.
So Amanda and Laura joined me after they'd had us at their weddings, and they're both smashing it, because they follow the process, they follow the path that's already been trodden for them. They smile and dial, and they make sales.
Nice, excellent. That's amazing. So basically, for every 4 calls they make, you get 1 booking, and that's what you work on.
Yeah, for conversation, but better than that sometimes.
Wow.
Sometimes it can be every 2-3 conversations on good days.
It's weird. I was reading, I think it was on LinkedIn, that a vegan manufacturer, a big one, has gone out of business. And then it
Yeah,
turned out, allegedly, that the lifetime customer value for them was £40, but it was costing them £230 to acquire that customer. And it's like, well, fucking no shit, you went out of business. I mean, I'm not a numbers man, but I know which numbers you need to look at.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So is
And
that something you go through on the coaching program? Because I think, well, people like me, not everyone can get their head around numbers. Is there a risk of like paralysis by over analysis? Is like, well, no, these are the key metrics you need to look at, and here are the warning
they're
signs.
probably not in the foundation bits, because it's more about getting those processes in place, the automation, your goal setting, introducing people to paid ads and what I call free ads, and storytelling. So there's only so much you can cover in a 6-week period. But on a more advanced stuff, I would definitely be showing people how to use KPIs so that they can see the growth in the different channels, see how much a booking is costing them. Because with the wedding industry, it's a little bit different because it's typically a one-off sale, and that's probably the hardest thing to get your head around in the wedding industry, is that you're constantly looking for that new
Right.
customer. So that's probably been one of the reasons why I've got so good at lead generation and telling stories and marketing and stuff, is the fact that you've got to get new customers all the time. Otherwise, everything dries up.
Yeah.
But the other advantage is, because it is the wedding industry and you're telling about the day of somebody's dreams, it's really easy to tell stories.
Nice.
Really easy.
Facts tell and stories sell, as they say.
Yeah.
I've got one more question for you before a quick fire round. Okay, very short
Yep.
quick fire round. Anything you can share with people in terms of the work you do on yourself physically and mentally?
So physically, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with fitness. So at the moment, I'm training for Wigan 10K. So I'm trying to get out doing, my training program is supposed to be 4 runs a week. I've not hit that yet, but I've done 2 this week, so I'm being a good boy this week. I'm on week 3 of a 6-week training program for that. Typically, when I'm back home in Wigan in the gym, about 4 times a week, I'm doing strength stuff. Fall off it a little bit here, because it's a little bit more difficult with the kids being off and Claire's work and stuff. So I'm trying to make sure I hit 2-3 times a week here. When I'm back at home, I do a football fitness session. So both my boys have a one-to-one coach where they go and do sort of skills and drills and stuff. And they always look so much fun. So I asked the one-to-one coach if they could do something for me, just as
nice.
a fitness fun session. Because I don't really want to be playing contact football because I'll end up injuring myself and I'm not that good. So it's much better just to embarrass myself in front of the coach rather than other people. So I do that as a fitness thing once a week, and that's loads of fun. Mentally, I have a coach as well. So I do his program, masterminding once a month, and then picking up lots of podcasts. So obviously, Stay Hungry podcast, High Performance, Diary of CEO are ones that I listen to quite a bit. Though some of the stuff that Joel comes out with about ball sacks and skinless cats is obviously quite concerning. But with him being a Shrewsbury supporter, I let him off.
Of course, he's so he's not going to a mastermind this week. So he's going up to Leeds. I think Shrewsbury must be playing them or something. But I thought they were leagues apart.
I'm going. Yeah, they are. It's the League Cup. I'm going with the boys as well.
Oh, are you?
So I might even see him there.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. Hats off to you. I can't think of anything worse. I just stood. I mean, at least it's summer, but stood in the stadium in the winter time. But then we've got a big telly in the office, and we put it on. Was it yesterday the penalty shootout? Was it the Lionesses again? Yeah. Yes, a couple of girls in the office massive fans of Lionesses. That's brilliant. So, actually, one more last question. How do people find out more about Jamie Reeves? Where's the best place to go?
So, if it's the Wedding Network, if they go to www.the-weddingnetwork.com or put the Wedding Network into Insta, Facebook, or TikTok. If it's to do with singing waiters, go to thebestsingingwaiters.com, and then you can click onto the links from Facebook, Insta, TikTok, and all the usual suspects from there. And if you want to hear my music, just type Jamie Reeves into Spotify and play until your heart's content.
Nice. Tell me about TikTok then. So singing waiters, what kind of views you up for some of your videos?
We've hit 700,000 a few times.
Shit.
We've built it organically. We haven't started doing ads on that yet, though we're going to be starting doing that soon. And I think we're approaching 5,000 followers, over 132,000 likes. So it's not driving loads of inquiries just yet. It's driving a few. But more and more people, when you speak to them, have seen us on TikTok.
Okay.
I tend to use them as libraries so that then when you've spoken to some, rather than a marketing channel, when you've spoken to somebody, go and have a look at my videos on TikTok or YouTube or whichever is your channel of choice, and use it as a library so that then they can scroll, watch loads of stuff and go, yeah, they're the ones for me. And then
Nice. Excellent. Right, ready for quick fire?
Yep.
It's only 2 questions. Right. What's your favourite film?
Favourite film, The Commitments. That's the film that got me into singing.
Bloody hell. Film. Yeah, Andrew Strong, that voice, I remember. God, yeah. What was that, like 30 years ago?
Yeah, got to be that. I was about 15 when it came out, so yeah.
Oh, nice.
31 years ago.
Excellent. Well, can't argue with that. Last one. Your favourite mistake?
Favourite mistake? Oh, probably nearly going bust. Because if that hadn't have happened, I wouldn't have restructured everything to build that lifestyle business that I have now. So it taught me what was important and what's not.
Wow, excellent. Yeah, I think sometimes we all need a wake-up call. That's amazing. Yeah. Well, it's been amazing talking to you, Jamie. I'm sure I will speak to you and see you soon. So thanks for sharing all your insights with our listeners.
No problem.
Till next time, stay hungry.
You've been listening to the Stay Hungry podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, share, leave us a review. I'll love you forever. Visit andyandjoel.com if you want to know more about our coaching. We'd love to hear from you. Take care, everyone.